Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. So this vlog is a little bit different from my other videos because your guy finally made it to London. It's a place I've always wanted to visit ever since I was really young, and I was finally able to get around to it. That's right, this is my first time as an adult going across the pond, and I packed in a lot to this trip. So I want you all to grab a snack, get comfortable, and we're going to talk about how I explored the iconic city, pub crawls, castles, and all in jolly old England. Okay, so let's start at the very beginning, my flight. I flew out of Dulles Airport in Washington, D.C., and it was an overnight flight. We landed in London at Heathrow around 7 or 8 a.m. Okay, so when we landed, I took the underground from Heathrow straight to my hotel. It was in Pimlico. Nice hotel, but I got there early. And I got there maybe around 9 or 10ish, and my room was not ready. So what I did is that I left my stuff there, and I ended up walking to Buckingham Palace because it was only like a 15-minute walk. And I just took some pictures and I walked around a little bit more. I got some fish and chips. I've always wanted to try that. I forgot the name of the place, but I ended up getting some fish and chips for lunch. And then I walked around a little bit more, and by the time I got back to my hotel, everything was ready. I ended up going out that night too. I did a bar crawl. Didn't really take too many videos or pictures of that bar crawl, but it was a very small group, only maybe about it was less than 10 of us, but it was a good night. Met people there. I kind of like the fact that it was smaller. It was a smaller group than what they're usually used to, because I'm told they're usually used to having like 100 people on Fridays and Saturdays. But I like that it was small because it felt a little bit more intimate. The next day, I did a walking tour, a 5-hour walking tour around the city of London. So the walking tour, that started around 1 o'clock, and the weather was actually really nice too. I know a lot of people think of London as being like this cloudy place, cloudy and cold. I know that's the stereotype. But the day that we did the walking tour, it was so nice. I remember I brought a coat and actually had to take it off a few times, just because the weather was really, really good. This walking tour was really one of the big highlights of my trip because we hit up all the big spots like Buckingham Palace, we walked through St. James's Park, we crossed the London Bridge. It was like 30 different places that we would walk by, and our tour guide was so great. She gave us all these little tidbits of history, stuff I didn't even know. So one thing that she told me that I had no clue about was that Buckingham Palace, that's known as the official residence of the monarchy. While that is true on paper, the king and the queen actually live down the street at a place called Clarence House, which is literally like a 5-minute walk. It's literally right down the street. So everybody goes to Buckingham Palace, they get their pictures and stuff like that, but the king and queen actually live right next to it, at a place called Clarence House. So that's one thing I didn't know that I learned on the tour, and that's one reason why I like doing tours, is that you learn little tidbits of history and tidbits of information like that. So that was really cool. We got to see a lot of cool spots. I also met some people as well on that tour. Yeah, that tour was really fun. I met some cool people there, and when it was done, I got some food, and then I went back to my hotel, and I went straight to bed because I had to be up early the next day for a 12-hour tour that was actually outside of London. We hopped on a charter bus around 7 a.m. and we went to Windsor Castle first. Lots of history there. That's actually where King Henry VIII, the king with 6 wives, he executed 2 of them, is buried. He's buried at a chapel within the castle. And then we went to Stonehenge, which was really cool to see as well. I got to walk around it. I got to learn a little bit more about the history of Stonehenge. And I got a little fridge magnet too, which is something really cool. Anytime I visit a place, I always like to get a fridge magnet. But after that, we went to a city called Bath. That's how they say it. It's spelled like bath, like a bathtub, but they pronounce it Bath. And we got to do some shopping, and I actually visited a Roman bath. An ancient Roman bath that's there. So I got to learn a lot of the history of that as well. Where those Roman baths came from, when that was built, what the ancient Romans used them for, when England was a part of Rome hundreds of years ago. And we wrapped things up by going to a town called Laycock, and we got a pub lunch there as well. We got back around maybe 8 or 9 in London, and I went and got food, and then I went back to my hotel. On my final day, I finally made it to the London Eye, and it was well worth the wait. The views of the city were just unreal, and I timed it just right as well because the skies were clear and the sun was peeking through those clouds. After that, I did my final walking tour during my stay there. I hopped on a river cruise. This was all part of the tour. Hopped on a river cruise. Our tour guide, he pretty much gave us a little bit of history of just like sites along the River Thames. Then we went to the Tower of London. Tower of London's really neat. Lots of history with that as well. I feel like I've been saying that a lot. I actually went into the tower. You see a lot of armor from past kings. I saw Henry VIII's armor there as well. And then you see just a lot of other things that relate to the history of Great Britain and the history of England. It's just an overload of just history and just a lot of things that like you just didn't know when it comes to British history. My final night there, I had to do the bar crawl again. I met really cool people there as well. I met some people from Maryland, where I live right now, and I met people from all over the world there. I met a guy from Chicago. I met a lot of travelers as well. It was really fun. I didn't stay out too late though, just because I knew I had a flight the next morning. So I ended up leaving that bar crawl maybe around like 1:32ish, and I went back to the hotel so I could get some sleep before my flight back home the next day. So that's it about my trip to London. I'm going to try to get into the habit of just making more videos and being more consistent with things. So just be on the lookout for that. Again, like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you all next time.